So this is from Elon R. So his question is, how is it possible that some individuals, despite all the evidence, doubt the existence of an ultimate power in the creation of the world?
And before we touch on this, I had an exchange with Ilanar like via email about this question because I wasn't so sure like if like the question was more targeted to us or for like the video. But I think what he was like also trying to ask is like, what have you heard in your experiences about those who have not like who have doubted existence, and what have you basically said to them?
Okay, so how's it? I'm fine. Because this is a good question, but it kind of plays the other end. How is it possible that someone, you know, doubts this idea of God or a higher power? And I think that it's not a bad thing. It's hard. I don't necessarily see the higher power in my day-to-day life. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Maybe I've never have. Maybe I know a cousin who did. And just because there's a higher power doesn't necessarily mean that I fully feel it or see it or am aware of it. And I think that's the beauty of God. That God is something like it's brought down, Dear Hashem, something that we need to seek after. And we don't always see it. Some people are fortunate they do. They get a glimpse of it. They saw something. Or they have more belief within themselves. Or they were instilled with more belief. And that's okay. And that's beautiful for them. But it's very normal that people don't have this belief in God. I was in the park on Sunday with my children. I have 3 children. And there's another dad with 3 children. And I was next to him. And when we got into a nice conversation. And he told me, he's like, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in religion. I don't believe in anything. And he said, because I went through some very dark moments in my life when I was a child. And I said, I totally get it. I understand. If I was in your shoes, I wouldn't either believe in anything else. And he says, but I believe that there's something out there. He says, there's something. I don't know what it is, but there's something out there. And I love that. I love that idea. I love that, there's something out there. And he was on his journey. And there's a couple things. It really depends on someone's background as well. What their mindset. If someone's like, let's say, grew up, observant, and now they're all of a sudden questioning versus someone who's just interested in Judaism for the first time or religion. So I think that there's going to be a different, reaction depending on each person. But I think generally it should be welcomed. It shouldn't be shunned. And when I meet people that have an issue with this idea of God or higher power or anything like that, I listen. And that's how I react to people. I listen, and I want to hear them, and I want to hear what they think. I don't even necessarily share my opinion. If they ask or push, maybe I will. And I think that we all, especially as we're going through these teenage years, and going through, 11th grade, 12th grade, into college.
Find identity.
You're finding identity. And it's good to ask the questions, and it's good to keep on searching. I want to tell you a story. I was thinking if I should say the story. It's a story about my wife's grandfather, who just passed away a couple months ago. He was a big rabbi in Italy. Actually, all the etrog that people get for the holiday of Sukkot, he's the one who was like, puts his kosher symbol on them from Italy.
Wow.
And he's a character, very loving, fun, and exciting guy. All the amazing stories come out. But there's a story that he shared with me personally once when I was walking the streets of Milan, Italy with him. He told me, he said, when he was in yeshiva, meaning he was basically high school age or college age, he one day stopped believing in God. Okay, and he was, full-on observer.
In yeshiva.
Yeah, in yeshiva, as a rabbinical student. He stopped believing in God. He said, but he wasn't just going to stop everything he was doing. And he wrote a letter to his Rebbe at the time, who was the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson. who's, the Chabad rabbi of the entire Chabad Lubavitch movement. Someone who received more letters than the President of the United States. And an unbelievable person. And he wrote a 4-page letter to the Rebbe about his doubts in God. And he didn't get an answer. And he got upset. He's like, because the Rebbe would always answer his letters, and he didn't get an answer. So he wrote like a 2-page letter, and he thought maybe it was too long, with all of his doubts. And again, he didn't get an answer. And then a week later, he wrote like 1 page, he still didn't get an answer. A couple months went by. He continued in the school system. He continued to pray and show up and study, but he was going through this battle, this journey. He says one day, a couple things fell into place, and all of his doubts went away. And he continued his journey in the yeshiva. At that moment, a rabbi from his yeshiva, the head, the principal, came over and called him over. He said, "What's going on?" He's like, "What do you mean, what's going on?" He says,
the rabbi had shared with him all the doubts and fears.
So he didn't actually share. It's even crazier than that. He says, every single week, I write a report of all the students to the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and out of the hundreds and hundreds of students, every single week for the last 3 months, the Lubavitcher Rebbe has been asking about you.
Oh,
And he stopped. The Rebbe stopped asking me about you. So I want to know what's going on. And he said, basically, the Rebbe listened, he understood, he probably prayed, and he was able to, really get him and knew that he would come out of it. So that was for someone in yeshiva. But the point is, we all go through these challenges and these ideas, and we all need to, try to find this answer and this purpose.
I see. Why do you, just like out of curiosity, not provide like guidance or opinion when like others are unsure? Like, what allows you to just like allow you to listen to their thoughts? And
I'll tell you why. You want to know my secret?
yes.
The answer is like this, because I was taught as I started to become a rabbi, don't answer questions, answer people. And many times, people don't want an answer. They want to be heard. They want to be accepted. It's okay. I have this challenge. I'm grappling with this. It's okay. Listen. First you listen. And I said, then at the end, if I need to get to an answer, they're really looking, I'll say whatever answer I need to. But the main thing is to listen at that moment and hear the challenge and hear what's going on in their mind. And again, it depends on the background. If it's a random person you met at Starbucks that just wants to get into a philosophical discussion, maybe it's different than if it's a student in your class or a student in yeshiva or someone in the community or a teenager. But I think that's why I listen. I listen and I accept. And I want them to know it's okay. It's good. I'm glad you're having these questions.
yeah, I think we've all been in that situation where really you just want someone to talk to, just someone to, release your thoughts and your doubts and all of those things. So I think it's solid advice, just, being there to listen for one another.
Yeah, like I think you could even like use an analogy with like school. Granted, like a lot of our audience are students. Like with classes, difficult classes, sometimes you kind of just want to complain about your classes. You're not looking for guidance on study tips or what really is the 1848 war and the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. You're not looking for like information or facts or feedback on your study habits, but you kind of just want to like be accepted for your struggle in the class and your frustrations almost. And it's up to you to like discover your journey and change your study habits to accommodate such coursework almost.
Yeah. And I think it's a message really for everyone today in their own way. We need to listen more to people. Everyone's so quick to just want to share their opinion, their answer. Everybody's like, sometimes you can't even have conversations. There's different opinions. Just, we all need to work on listening a little bit more today to other people and be a listener.